Hey, welcome to Quick Answers with Craig. You know, this is a very simple, encouraging way to answer the questions that people are asking. But when you hear quick answers, I don't want you to think of simple answers. No, these are very complex answers to complex questions. We just do them quickly. And today's question is a doozy. The question is it a sin to smoke marijuana? Now, of course, I'm approaching this question from a Christian worldview, from a biblical worldview. And I got to tell you, I have, throughout my life, for the last 20 years, I have been pastoring people, serving people where I'm living on a daily basis or at least a weekly basis of trying to serve people who are trying to gain sobriety from drugs and from alcohol. That's 20 years. So this is something I'm very passionate about. Meaning I'm not objectively pulled away or distant, but I'm very subjectively involved. And I got to tell you, too, this is also a question that every church leader must be able to answer today. If you don't have a right formulation of how you would answer this question, you're really going to be ill-prepared. So here are some thoughts. First of all, you have to define sin. So when we say, is smoking marijuana a sin? According to Scripture, 1 John chapter 3, verse 4 says that sin is lawlessness. That means sin is breaking the law of God. Now, if something isn't explicitly prohibited in Scripture, then we have to be cautious before we call it sin. Okay? Next thing, we must admit that there's nothing in Scripture that explicitly forbids us from smoking marijuana. Scripture is very silent on this issue specifically. So you won't find, in all 66 books of the Bible, you will not find a verse that says, thou shalt not smoke a joint. Okay? Scripture is clear, though, however, on other related issues, such as the command to be sober-minded. So 1 Peter chapter 4, verse 7, 1 Peter chapter 5, verse 8 says that we are to be sober-minded. Now, to be sober-minded means that we are alert and we're able to exercise sound judgment. Now, let me tell you something. Using marijuana impairs our judgment and hinders our ability to remain on alert. Furthermore, the explicit purpose of smoking marijuana is what? It's to enter into an altered, euphoric state of mind. So those 2 points alone, I think, violate the command to be sober-minded, thus constituting smoking marijuana as a sin. Now, there's another explicit command in Scripture, and that is that Ephesians 5:18 says we are not to get drunk with wine. Be ye not filled with wine. Don't get drunk with wine, but filled with the Spirit. Now, Paul certainly is not saying that we can't get drunk on wine, but we can get drunk on beer, or we can get drunk on liquor. No, the principle is that we can't be intoxicated in any way. This then would also apply to our topic because smoking marijuana leads to what? Smoking marijuana leads to intoxication. So in light of these two commands alone, which are the command to be sober-minded and then the command to have no intoxication, I conclude that recreational marijuana use will most likely lead to sin and should be avoided. Now notice I use two qualifiers. Number one, recreational use. Number two, most likely. Now that's intentional. So what do I mean? I don't think medicinal marijuana usage is a sin because of the intent. So the intent is to what? The intent is to help aid a medical problem. God has given us medicine for our good. Secondly, I said it was most likely lead to sin because in most cases, the one who uses marijuana will get high, right? Get this euphoric state of mind and then violate the commands that already mentioned in this video. But I do suppose that there could be some cases where that doesn't happen, which is why I avoid making a blanket statement. I also want to make two things clear. Number one, if marijuana use is illegal in your state, then using it recreationally would certainly be a sin because you're breaking the law. Number two, I would advise against anyone using it recreationally, even if it is legal, just as a matter of wisdom. The question itself seems to be asking, how close can I get to the line before I cross it? In other words, how close can I get to the sin before I actually commit it? Christians should not think this way. The real question is, will this action honor the Lord? Does this action love others? Does this action build others up? When some people are going to push back against this and say, well, what about alcohol? Do you think it's sinful to drink alcohol? How is this any different? And I would say to you, great questions. Obviously, it is not a sin to drink. It is a sin to get drunk, we know, but I also don't think you can compare smoking marijuana to having a drink. Why? Alcohol is measurable. If you drink a 12-ounce beer, that is 5% alcohol. You can measure how much alcohol you consume. Furthermore, the purpose of drinking isn't exclusively to get drunk. Drinking enhances food. Drinking enhances time with people sometimes. People enjoy the taste. There are many different reasons people drink other than getting drunk. These things, to me, can't easily be said of marijuana. When you smoke marijuana, measuring your THC consumption is very difficult, okay? Unless you're doing it medicinally and it's in bites or something that you're consuming as edible, okay, it's hard to measure it. And furthermore, as I stated earlier, the express purpose of using marijuana is to get high, which to me, it violates God's commands at multiple points. So that is the quick answer with Craig for today. Thank you so much for joining us for this actual question. Be sure to subscribe to this channel if you like this content. You can also hit the bell to maintain notifications with us. We'll see you back next time.